Today we will discuss about the two-dimensional state of stress. In the previous session, we have discussed in detail about the general state of stress, or otherwise it is called as the three-dimensional state of stress. A three-dimensional state of stress is a 3 by 3 matrix which is symmetric and it has 9 components in it, out of which 3 are normal components, sigma x, sigma y and sigma z, and the other 6 components are shear components. Now we will discuss about the two-dimensional state. So a two-dimensional state of stress, otherwise called as a plane state of stress, is the one in which we have non-zero stresses acting in one plane. If you consider a three-dimensional state of stress like this, and if the loading in the y direction is absent, then sigma z, tau xy and tau yz is going to be 0, just because the load in the y direction is not present or absent. So all the stresses will be limited to xy plane. So that is given in the second figure. If you eliminate the components in the z direction, what is left with is the xy plane and the components in the xy plane. So if you draw a two-dimensional drawing from this three-dimensional drawing, it is going to look something like this. You have x direction, y direction and the stresses in this particular plane. This kind of stresses are called as the two-dimensional state of stress. So this is very helpful in analyzing very thin structures like thin cylinders. It is very useful because the area is very thin and it can be considered as a plane state. And one more major reason to study this is that once you understand the stress transformation happening in a two-dimensional plane, then it will help you to understand the transformation in the three dimension very easily. So it makes the things very simple. So moving forward, we have to discuss about the sign convention that we are going to use here. So what exactly is the aim of this study? We know that when a material is loaded in different axes or different forces, there are different type of stresses going to generate within the material. That means if you consider any plane, you can define infinite number of plane within a material. So if you take any particular plane, then the component of stresses acting on that particular plane is different. So we are interested to find out the stresses in some particular plane, and after the session you will be equipped with how to find the stresses. So you have the external stresses like sigma x, sigma y and tau xy, and we are interested to calculate the stress in a particular plane. So let us assume that I want to find out the stress in this particular plane. This particular plane has got some inclination with respect to the y-axis, and I am interested to find out the stresses in this particular plane using the available stress values. So the sign convention that we are going to use for this stress transformation is as follows. The normal stresses acting in the positive directions are considered positive. That means if you have a stress in the positive x direction, that is considered as positive. If you have a stress in the positive y direction, then that is considered as positive y, sigma y. And when you take the case of a shear stress, that's very important. The sign convention for the shear stresses are very important. The shear stresses are positive when they act in the positive x dash or y dash direction. You kindly look at this figure. We can see that the tau xy is acting, this tau xy is acting in the positive x direction, and this is acting in the positive y direction on the positive faces. So this type of stresses are considered as positive. The other way of representing it is like this. If you have a element like this, and one shear stress will be acting in this direction and one will be acting in this direction. Its complementary part is going to act like this. This is a negative stress, shear stress. So this is a positive one and this is a negative one. I hope you understood the concept of or the sign convention used for the shear stress. Now we have to understand the sign convention of the plane or the angle that we use. Here the sign convention is given like this: angle theta will be positive provided it follows the curl of the right hand fingers. First I will explain that and I will make it more simple. See, look here, this is the plane that we are going to analyze, or this is the plane on which we are going to find out the stresses. So this x dash is the normal component of that particular plane and y dash is the normal component of that particular plane. No, sorry, not the normal, parallel component of that particular plane. And this is the angle that is mentioned here. It is acting in the anti-clockwise direction, right? When you consider the positive x, that is acting in the anti-clockwise direction. So that is considered as positive. But it is very difficult for you to understand or find out why it is called as right hand, thumb, fingers, something like that. So it is very simple to understand in this manner. If your plane is defined with respect to the vertical, then that is considered as positive. That is very easy way of understanding it. That means the plane has to be defined with respect to the vertical, then that is considered as positive. Because the reason why I explain it in this manner is, before moving into the derivation, you have to understand what exactly is the sign convention. Then only you will be able to move forward. So before moving into the three-dimensional, this kind of study will help you to understand how the stress is being transformed into a particular plane. Now let us discuss the stress in an arbitrary plane 2D. This is the most important point in this discussion. So stress in an arbitrary plane 2D. This is a general state of stress and this is a two-dimensional state of stress. Like I explained, I am going to find out the stress in a particular plane. So let us consider an element like this. And this is a plane that we are discussing about. And this plane has an area delta A. The thickness is very small, that is why we consider it as a delta A, small area delta A. And it makes an angle of theta with the vertical. Okay, now we are going to do the transformation. See, the transformation is very simple. We have already learned you have already learned in your engineering mechanics and even the introduction class of the mechanics of solid that the equilibrium condition is nothing but summation of fx dash equal to 0, summation of fy dash equal to 0, summation of fz dash is equal to 0, and all the moment about x, y, z has to be 0. The same principle we are going to apply here. The force value should be equal to 0. And before you jump into the derivation part, you have to understand that the value that is given to us are stresses. They are not forces. So we cannot resolve a stress. We can resolve only forces. So first we have to convert these stresses into forces. How can we convert that? It's by multiplying with the corresponding area of the plane in which it is acting. It's very simple. And if you take that into consideration, what is the area of this particular plane, that the plane we are interested in? The area is delta A. Now we will resolve this delta A into two components, because we want to know what is the area on this particular plane and what is the area on this particular plane. So if this is delta A and if this is theta, then this area, the area on the y-axis, is going to be delta A cos theta. Simple resolving. And this plane, the area of this particular plane, is going to be delta A sin theta. It's very simple. So what we have to do is we have to multiply the stresses with the area the corresponding area. That means if you take sigma x, this area is going to be delta a cos theta. We have multiplied this sigma x with delta a cos theta and it has changed into force, F1 force in the x direction. Similarly, we multiplied the shear component tau xy into the corresponding area delta a cos theta, makes it the force in the y direction. Similarly, we converted the stresses into force by multiplying delta a sin theta and delta a sin theta to sigma y and tau xy. So right now we have all the forces with us. We have converted the stress system into force system. Now comes the most important part. We have to resolve these force component into x dash direction and y dash direction. I hope you all remember the first class wherein which I have told you that we are interested to find out the normal stresses and the shear stresses. We are not interested to find out any stresses in any other direction, because generally it is easy for us to understand in that manner. So we are interested only in the normal stress and the shear stress. So the normal stress is of this particular plane is going to act in the x dash direction and the shear stress is going to act in the y dash direction. So this has to be a positive sigma x dash and this has a positive tau xy dash. This is how we are going to analyze. Now how we can resolve this? That is the question. So I will first explain this equation and again I will draw one more simple free body diagram to make you understand this. See, what is the stress acting in x dash direction? It is nothing but sigma x dash into delta a, because sigma x dash is the normal stress that we are going to find out and the corresponding area on which the sigma x dash act is delta a. So multiplying these two will give the force on this particular direction, that is sigma dash delta a. Okay, now we have to resolve sigma x delta a cos theta. This is a force in the x direction and we have to resolve this force into this direction. Okay, so it has made an angle with the vertical as theta. So when you resolve the system into the x dash direction, it will take the value as sigma x delta a cos theta into cos theta. Okay, so how that is going to come? Let us look into detail. You consider this as a cuboidal element or a two-dimensional element, and I am interested to find the stresses acting on this particular plane. This plane makes an angle of theta with the vertical, and I am interested to find out the stresses acting in the normal to this particular plane. And right now I have the sigma, this is the force sigma x delta a cos theta, right? And this is the direction we are talking about, normal direction. Okay, so if you resolve this sigma x delta a cos theta, this value is theta, right? This angle is theta. We have to resolve sigma x delta a cos theta into this particular plane. We have to resolve this particular sigma x delta a cos theta into this particular plane. So what is this particular angle? What is going to be this angle? This angle is also going to be theta. It's very simple, because when this plane becomes perpendicular or vertical, this angle will become 0. That means whatever might be the angle subtended by this plane with the vertical is the same theta. Or if you find it confused, it's very simple way to analyze this. See, this is considered as theta, right? So if you draw a line like this, then this particular angle is considered as, we will consider one more theta here. We'll consider one more theta here. This is already mentioned in this figure, this theta. So if this is theta, this value will also be theta, alternate integer angles. right? Opposite angles. So when you resolve the sigma x delta a cos theta into this direction, x dash direction, it is going to be sigma x delta a cos theta into cos theta. You are resolving into this direction and theta is made with the adjacent. Now we have to resolve the tau xy delta a cos theta. So that is acting in the y direction, right? And you are supposed to resolve this into the x direction, x dash direction. So it will take sine theta. Now in a similar manner, when you resolve sigma y delta a sine theta into the x component, it is going to be sigma y delta a sine theta into sine theta, because sigma y is acting in this direction. This is the direction of sigma y. Sigma y delta a sine theta is acting in this direction, and you are supposed to resolve this sigma a y into this particular direction. So it will take a sine, because this is considered as theta here. So this value is going to be sigma y delta a sine theta into sine theta. So right now you have resolved all the components of forces into the x dash direction. If you understand this x dash direction, it is easy for you to understand the y dash direction. So let us take the y dash direction, this direction. So the force acting on the y dash direction is tau x dash y dash delta a. Okay, that is in the positive sense, positive value. Now we have to resolve the sigma x delta a cos theta into this particular plane. We have to resolve this into this particular plane. So already sigma x delta a cos theta has taken a cos sign to get resolved into this x dash direction. So if you want to resolve it into another direction or this other axis, definitely it will take, cos will take a sine value. It's very simple. Cos will take a sine value. Similarly, tau xy delta a cos theta is the stress which is acting on this particular plane, and we want to resolve it into this direction. So it will take a, have already taken a sine value, so right now it is going to take a cos value. Then it will get shifted to this particular axis. Similarly, sigma y delta a sine theta into cos theta and tau xy delta a sine theta into sine theta is equal to 0. Now when we cancel out the terms, delta a is a common one, we will cancel out all these, delta a will get cancelled out. Here also delta a will get cancelled out, and what is left with is sigma x dash equal to, we will take all these terms to the right hand side of the equal to, and what we will get is sigma x into cos square theta minus or plus sigma y into sine square theta plus this tau xy sin theta cos theta, and this tau xy sin theta cos theta will get added up, and you will get 2 tau xy sin theta cos theta. And if you resolve, if you cancel out all the similar terms in the summation of fi dash, what you are going left with is tau x dash y dash equal to, if you group the sin theta cos theta, it is going to be minus of sigma x minus sigma y sin theta cos theta plus tau xy cos square theta minus sin square theta. So in order to understand this, you kindly take down a paper and draw these figures, and by using the simple mechanics resolving methods, you resolve it and group it. That's the easiest way of doing it. Okay, now everything is simplified. Now we will substitute the trigonometric relations for cos square theta as 1 plus cos 2 theta by 2 and sin square theta as 1 minus cos 2 theta by 2, and sin 2 theta is nothing but 2 sin theta cos theta, and cos 2 theta is cos square theta minus sin square theta. All these substitutions we are going to make in these two equations, and what we are going to left with is sigma x dash equal to sigma x plus sigma y by 2 plus sigma x minus sigma y by 2 cos 2 theta plus tau xy sin 2 theta, and also tau x dash y dash is equal to minus of sigma x minus sigma y by 2 sin 2 theta plus tau xy cos 2 theta. This is what we are going to obtain. And sigma y dash is the stress in the normal stress in the y dash direction. This is not considered in general. These two are very much important. Sigma normal, this is also considered as normal stress in the new plane, and tau xy dash x dash y dash is the shear stress in that particular plane. So if you add these together, we can say that sigma x dash and sigma y dash are one at the equal to sigma x plus sigma y. That means we can conclude that the sum of the normal stresses exerted on a cubic element of a material is independent of the orientation of that element. That means if you sum up the stresses in a particular plane, then that is going to be equal to that of the externally applied stresses. You cannot have a stress value higher or lower than these two values. It will get resolved into two components. So when you add these together, definitely it has to be the initial one. That is the simple way of analyzing it. So this is how we are going to derive or transform the stress systems into another plane, and these equations are very important. So you write down 2-3 times so that you will get a better grip on the transformation. Okay. So that's all for now. Thank you.